She's as strong as an ox. This boat is a surprise. This is a sailor's boat. This boat is really a gem inside. Kind of a clever little arrangement. This boat was like the express train. It's just a great boat. I'm very enthusiastic about this boat. Hi there, this is Captain Q. Join us as we travel hither and yon to show you some great deals on some really interesting boats and maybe learn just a little bit with each one. Randy, you out there?
Where are you, buddy?
Oh, I'm over here. I'm just checking something out up close.
What is this, a puppet show?
We are standing in front of almost one of the most famous boats in the world.
Really?
Yeah, her predecessor by a year or so was the first fiberglass boat to sail around the world. This is an Allied Seawind Catch II. Allied Seawind Catch I, which was a 30-foot boat, was the first boat to circumnavigate all by herself, and that really set the sailing world on its ear because back in the early 60s, you know, there just weren't that many fiberglass boats. And really, frankly, a lot of people back then thought that these boats were going to last for a couple years and dry up and then all get flaky and then they'd be hauled off to a junkyard somewhere. Instead, this boat is still here after 50 years and she's as strong as an ox. These were built solid glass, tons of mat and roving, no water absorption here, nothing. Now, from a design standpoint, Thomas Gilmer designed this boat, and she's not like a full schooner keel, it's just gradual into a full length keel. It runs the length of the boat, as you can see back here. I'm going to speak about this boat on sort of personal terms too, because I had the good fortune of being invited aboard my son-in-law's and daughter's boat. They had exactly the same boat. And we did a number of sails. I did a short sail around Casco Bay. We did some nice long runs up near Eastport, Maine. And then one night, my son-in-law and I made a wonderful, wonderful run. One of the nicest sails I've ever had from Yarmouth, Nova Scotia to Southwest Harbor, all night long, on a close reach with a northeast breeze and rail down, just a jib and the mizzen flying.
Wasn't too much pounding?
No, pounding is not even in this boat's vocabulary. This boat does not pound. It just smooshes into the water. We like the mush factor. And
that's because of the full-length keel?
Because of the full-length keel, but also let's look up at the bow here for a second. See how full it is up forward. And if you look right down the bow here, this might even remind you a little bit of another one of our favorite designers' boats, like maybe on the Block Island 40. See how full this is? And they don't have as sharp edges and just not cut back, so it's going to try and pound into the water. This just goes. This boat is a surprise. This is a sailor's boat. This is a real sailor's boat. It's pretty much what you see, long keel, and she has attached rudder. Now, it's fun being in these boat yards because we have other things to look at. Look at the size of the barn door in this thing. This is massive. That's just a massive barn door. Now, if you turn around, there's a little Cape Dory right behind you that has a little gentle rudder down there, which will steer that boat fairly well.
Does that mean it makes the helm action a little bit easier?
This just means it doesn't take much offset on the wheel with this big door to have a whole lot of water change direction. And look at the gudgeons down here. Look at this. Look at the heel. That's a massive plate down there. This particular boat, it's got a couple of coats of paint on her, and it's still ablating, I'm glad to say. Needs a new zinc here. And believe me, you could get on this boat and go forever and never turn around. Just visit any island, go anywhere in the world, and be totally happy. Any storm, anything that comes along. I mean, it's just a great boat. I'm very enthusiastic about this boat. Great big rub rail up here. You like that, Randy?
I do.
With the
stainless.
Little stainless rub strake on it.
I saw a cable sticking up out of the bow.
Cable in the bow. You know what that's called.
Do I?
Yes, you do. We had one on the Irwin, right?
It's Dave.
The bobstay?
Is it Dave or Bob?
Bob. Bob. Dave's gone for the day, so we have to rely on Bob. This was the only weak thing that we had with the boat, and the family boat I'll call it, was this, and basically this fitting right here. It had a way of sort of weeping a tiny bit of water into the boat, and they fiddled with it, and I can see this has been fiddled with too. So she may have had similar issues there too as to where and how to get in there to stop it. Nothing earth-shattering. It was just sort of an annoying drip that would show up in your bilge from it.
You know, I think Project Atticus, who had an Allied as well, replaced the bobstay and the tang there.
I know that my son-in-law and daughter worked on this quite a bit to get it right, and I think they finally did it by the end of before they sold the boat. You want to go get on board?
Yeah, let's do it.
Look at the size of the cockpit. Remember, we're in a 32-foot boat. Just an enormous amount of room. This boat surprises people, and it's a real sailor's boat too. I can tell you, just looking right now, this boat's been well maintained. Look at the teak. Somebody has really done a nice job of sanding the teak, and probably Ceatol on here, a light coat of it. Gives it just a nice, soft patina to it.
Is it patina or patina?
Okay, I'll go with patina. I'll go with patina. You say potato, I'll say potato.
I say patina.
Notice how I'm sitting on the wheel here. This is the wheel box I'm sitting on.
Are you really supposed to straddle it like that?
Yep. You sit here and just drive the boat like this. And it's a little funny feeling at first, but just imagine if the wheel were in front of me, I'd be doing this, but instead it's right here. When the boat heels over, you can sit on one side or the other and then steer, with your legs out front. Some people have actually changed this steering and put a regular pedestal right here so they feel like they're not caught behind this wheel. And it can be a little tricky getting out, but this has got enough room to get your legs past it so you can stand up. Big, long settees here for lying down. Put a couple of nice cushions out there. You'll be very comfortable. This boat is rock solid too, going through the water. She's very stable, very trackable. You really don't have to steer it very much. You get the sails balanced properly and you're all set. This boat is a ketch rig. The mizzen is right in front of this pedestal area, and that's where the compass will live. Between the mizzen and the jib, you can forget the main in anything over about 10 or 15 knots, and the boat will practically sail itself. We've got a nice sun awning on this particular boat. We also have a place for your outboard motor bracket. Let's just look in our lockers here. With the advent of roller furling, we really just need 2 sails, a jib and a main, and they all self-stow. Now, let's say you want to go around the world and you want to stow a lot of extra foodstuffs. Tons of room to do that. I would even consider putting a life raft in there with life rafts instead of the hard shell. And you can just set them down inside the locker. And then when you have the worst problem, you reach down, grab the handles, and pull it right out. And they're not exposed to the sunshine or waves or bad seas. We have double controls here for the engine. We've got the gear shift and the throttle right here. So I'm in charge of this whole boat. I can see where I'm going. I've got a place to put my coffee or my Cokes, whatever. And there's a Garmin that's going to live in here, I know. And that ring down there is a place for the compass. And the compass will have been removed for the winter, which is a great way to do things. We have some older instrumentation on board here, and I don't know how much of it works in terms of your wind indicator, and I'm told the depth sounder may not be working on this boat. Sea Dog's trying to get into the locker there.
Sea Dog smell some food.
Let's take a little walk around this deck while we're out here. What do you think?
Yeah.
There's some people who don't like travelers in the cockpit. I personally like it because when you're sailing the boat, and you've got the main sheet coming right down here, you can use your whole body to pull that sail in. And this is only a 30-foot boat, so that mainsail is really not that big. It's very handy to have this here, and right underneath that are the instruments behind plastic, and they're all clean as a whistle. They haven't been covered with salt water and so forth, and you can read those from anywhere behind the wheel. Notice we often get out on these boats and we go to walk around the decks, and we do it with a certain amount of temerity. Do you like temerity?
I do.
This time I'm doing it with total, what's the opposite of temerity?
Confidence?
What?
Confidence?
I'll go with confidence.
Safety?
Because these decks are wide, they're very flat, and we've got nice tall bulwarks on either side with beautifully capped teak on top of them, really set it off nicely. So I've got double lifelines. These still have the plastic coating, which I happen to like. New racing rules insist that this be bare wire. The reason being they don't know with some of the older wire whether or not it's rusting underneath the plastic, so they want you to be able to see it. But I do like this, and if it's pretty recent, it's going to last quite a while.
Let me see a demo of those bulwarks.
Okay, you see, we're boats heeling over, and I've got, I'm right there, got my foot there. Or even better yet, let's just say, and I'm doing this just for you, Randy. Oh, and I don't have my knee things. Oh, there we go. You know what's gonna happen now. See, we're heeling over, and I got both feet on there, right? And I'm not going over the side, am I? I'm really good. This doesn't have a windlass. It's only 30 feet long. You can manhandle this anchor right up and bury it down here. This is nice. This is a nice little touch what they've done right now just to store everything. So this isn't flopping around chewing up the deck. And there are 2 rollers on the bow. Notice.
I can't stop noticing my favorite thing.
I know. Anyway, oh, by the way, see that little hook?
Yep.
The idea behind that is to grab, you know, a link there, and that keeps you from losing the chain down into the locker. Catches on that little hook. Notice that the non-skid and the paint all look kind of factory new. You know, they've been flattened out with the sun over the years, but they're in great shape. It's not a terribly aggressive non-skid, but it's adequate, and I think that'll keep you on the boat most of the time. Randy,
Yeah.
come on down. I want you to see this boat. This boat is really a gem inside. They've spent some money and time on this. Look at the fabric on the cushions. I really like this. It's a nice muted sort of aquamarine green kind of thing. Tons of nice, clean, dry storage in here. This is very nice. And for all those big gallons of things you have to carry on board sometimes, gallons of antifreeze and so forth. And these are all up on nice snaps. And nicely done. But I have noticed one situation with this boat that I'm afraid is typical of maybe these 30s, and it has to do with the holding tank on this boat. And the holding tanks they put up under the V-berth, and it has lots of plumbing that runs up to it. And when you shut up the boats, unless that holding tank is flushed completely with fresh water, and the hoses are flushed completely with fresh water, and then heavily chlorinated, there will always be a certain essence coming out of that. And let me ask you, do you smell something a little
Yeah,
off right now?
maybe a little more ripe than some of the other ones. I mean, it's
Right.
been stored all winter.
It has been. It's been closed up all winter. And any boat, I don't care what boat it is you come on to these days, all boats have holding tanks. And somewhere along the line, I don't care who's put it away, there's going, unless they've really, really been thorough, they're going to have a little essence of the holding tank.
So what's the best way that you found that you could...
It's just the best
just
way
keep
to
flushing?
deal with it, and I dealt with this with my son's boat, was simply to flush the tank, flush the holding tank with fresh water, and then chlorinate like crazy. Tons of chlorine in there, chlorine bleach, and that eventually will take care of the immediate issue. Now the other problem is that you have a lot of plastic hosing and rubber hosing going to and from the head and on up to the deck to a deck pump out, and all that hosing really should be replaced. I don't know, pick a number of years, 2 or 3 or 4 years, maybe every 5 years at least. I don't know how long it's been on here.
Is that because of osmosis?
It'll osmose through the plastic wall, and you know, even where the hose clamps are, you know that a certain amount of this smell is going to escape. It's not death-defying, but it's certainly not pleasant. And I've been down here now for about 15, 20 minutes. I've opened all the hatches, and already it's clear. Now, you do have to make certain that all the plumbing has been emptied as well. And unfortunately, I think we've discovered that possibly on this boat, somebody may have left something in the head that shouldn't have been left there. It's just something you have to stay on top of all the time.
Did the PB have a polyethylene tank, or was it stainless, or...?
With a unique system that worked very well for us. Unfortunately, we were offshore a lot, so that worked out well. We did have a very small holding tank, but this table we see right here is a huge table, there is a chart table right behind you, Randy, and it's very small. It's cluttered with gear that's come off the mast for the winter, but and it's a place to put a small chart book. But if you really want to spread out the map of the North Atlantic, this table will work for you, and it will also situate 4 people. The galley, these people have done a nice job with this boat. I think they've done some serious cruising with it. They've certainly spent some time preparing the boat. She has a, 3-burner stove and oven, propane, and with a nice top on her, and a very nice fridge, very big, very deep.
Seems like a legitimate sailing couple here.
Well, they are. You know, these sailing couples, they're all alike. And there's storage, glass storage, and so forth. Oh my God. I don't know. Somebody must sell that around here. I don't know what it is. It's in all these boats, on boat yards. And on this side, we have just paper plates. One nice thing too, and this is a sidebar to all this. I don't know if you've noticed, but as I've slid all these open and shut, they just slide so easily. By the way, notice our headroom here?
It's awesome.
Does that kind of surprise you? Now, the hat's 6'2", we decided, pretty much, plus that much more. So
also, it's really squared off, so
yeah, there's no problem. There's a couple little doodads coming through the overhead here, and this has a nicely finished overhead in it. Look at that. That's very nice. This is much nicer than what we had, I think, on the other boat. But a lot of good shelving. The engine access is very good. I really like this boat. I really got to like Mark's boat a lot and had a lot of fun sailing with it. It was very fast, by the way. This is not a slow cruising dog. That's a Westerbeek 25 horse. You think, oh, how are you going to get to that? Well, first of all, you can get to it from either one of the sail lockers in those cockpits. Remember how big those were?
Yep. And
this piece right here also opens.
Oh, that's great.
This is kind of clever. There you go.
Oh, even better.
Look at that. You can get to everything right there. That engine's really in nice shape. The engine mounts are good. Look, they've even varnished these. Isn't that nice? So,
I don't think we've seen that before.
No, we haven't. I don't think so. You can come down from the back of this engine through either one of the
that's pretty great.
Cockpit hatches, yeah.
And look at that bilge under the engine too.
Yeah, very clean there. Very clean.
Is that just an oilcloth?
That's just an oil drip cloth. Usually everybody puts one down at the end of the season because no matter what, an engine will try to drip something.
That gives you a little clue if there's any leak or anything?
Oh, certainly, yeah. No, good point. Yeah, if one of our favorite things here, you know what that is?
Oh, is this really a twofer?
We have a twofer on a little 32-foot boat. Look at that. Oh. 2 doors. And this is designed to leave that door open with a latch on it, so that gives you privacy in the forward cabin, visual privacy. And Randy, when you come forward, you'll find that there's in the V-berth area, there's a nice sink and a mirror and so forth there, place to brush your teeth, get a drink of water, and go to bed. And a nice big hatch overhead, plus the other door to the head itself. But all of this that we're seeing is really in nice shape. Kind of a clever little arrangement. And these are pretty big bunks up here.
Did you sleep in the V-berth?
No, I slept in the midships because I like that, because I had a lot of air up there and so forth. This is a very wide berth here. And this is interesting. Look, it's squared away on the end.
Oh, that's nice.
It's not just the point. And that just means you've got that much more room up here. So a good amount of room.
Since you're down there.
What do you want?
Are you going to open that lid?
Sometimes you find these boats and they haven't been left quite right. And I think there's something in here that needs to be taken care of soon. Sometimes children sneak into the heads just when the parents are leaving the boat and they decide not to mention anything. And this boat sits very nicely on a mooring, on an anchor. She doesn't dance around a whole lot, but if it were breezy, the one nice thing about a ketch or a yawl is you can just hoist up that mizzen, sheet it down hard, and let that help feather the boat into the wind.
And you just leave that up all night?
Leave it up all night. I mean, if you suddenly hear the boat going back and forth, you know there's more wind than you need, then you go up and you make some alterations, but for the most part, it'd be fine. All in all, this boat is in really terrific condition. This would be a fun boat to raise to Halifax because I think it'd surprise a lot of people. It just goes like it's on rails. Crack sheets. I'd love to get a spinnaker up, a staysail, main, mizzen staysail, and the mizzen going. So we have to look down underneath the compression post here on this boat. That's where the mast compression post comes through and it goes up and meets the underside of the deck, and the mast sits on top of that. On Mark's older boat, that piece of wood down there, even though it was covered by fiberglass like this one, had rotted out completely, and a number of these have had to have sort of small metal jacking units put onto the compression post. This one appears to be in excellent shape and no issues involved.
That would make sense. It would absorb a lot of moisture and water in the bilge, right?
Yeah, well, this is, you see, the problem here is that is the sump for the shower, and it's not a good arrangement. How are you, buddy?
Good, good.
We had a chance to kind of meet up with an old friend, and I say that because my son-in-law and my daughter owned a Allied Seawind Mark II ketch for a number of years, and I had the pleasure and the opportunity to sail with them on a number of occasions. And so today we got a chance to look at somebody else's version of the same boat. And this boat we saw today was in really spectacular condition. She was just beautifully taken care of. The location and of the plumbing and has a way of leaving a certain essence, shall we say, in the boat. And every spring you've really got to scour things out, or possibly look at changing some of the plumbing in the boat too. It will make a huge difference. That aside, the boat was terrific. I have to just relate one little sail that we had on that boat from Yarmouth, Nova Scotia to Southwest Harbor, Maine. This boat this boat was like the express train. We got on tracks and we just laid over a little bit, probably about 15 degrees or so, and we just took off straight for 90 miles. I guess that run is about that distance. It was a dream sail at night, and then this giant moon came up over behind me. It almost scared the daylights out of me. Sometimes you get these extraordinary moments of sailing when everything is white, and we had plankton bubbling and lighting up the froth in the bow waves and so forth. It was just beautiful. And this boat was on rails and just went like stink. I think we were doing 7-8 knots at some points.
Wow.
Just flying. It's an ideal boat to do some serious cruising on. I'm going to give her a 10 because she's going to float. We know that. Because of my experience, I'm going to give it another 9 on top of that, okay? Yeah, she's spectacular for what it is. It's just a really, I'm giving her 2 more. I'm going to 21.
All right.
We're hitting 21 here, okay? She's great, and she'll carry you, we know, anywhere you want to go. If you like what you see, please hit the subscribe button. And if you want to be notified when the next one comes out, please hit the alert bell. And that's not desperate at all. We're having too good a time doing these things, so you're gonna hit the bell or not. Randy, how would I ever find out what's coming up next?
You can follow us on Instagram here,
Yep.
or Facebook here. We'll have little previews of what's coming up on our next episodes a little bit early.
That's pretty cool. Previews. You all join me. I'm going to Instagram right now, and I'm going to find out what's coming up next week. Thank you very much.
You know, Instagram's not a place.